I hope you guys are doing good. I welcome you all to Inspire India program in 2021. I welcome you all to Inspire India Program 2021, a 3-day long training program where you get a chance to interact with individuals from the market in the industry. It provides you an opportunity to build your own network and connection. For today's session, we'll be having Mr. Sandeep Singh and Aditya Uberoy, who will be joining us in a short while. After every session, you'll be provided with a feedback form. Do not forget to share your valuable feedback with us. After the completion of the program, you get a participation certificate and swags to the top performers. To be eligible for participation, do not forget to fill up the feedback form. I now request Chaitanya to please proceed further.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing well in this pandemic time. So, beginning today's session, I would like to welcome our first speaker, Sandeep Singh. Sandeep is a growth hacker at Commudle. Commudle is an ecosystem of software developers and communities. So the aim of the Commudle ecosystem is to share knowledge, to network, as well as to grow together. Sandeep will be talking all about the Commudle ecosystem, about how to build an application from scratch, as well as give a step-by-step application, a step-by-step explanation of the entire project. Welcome, Sandeep. It is an absolute pleasure to have you here. Over to you.
Hi Chaitanya, thanks for having me for the talk, and it's so glad being here. So within, just give me a second, sure. So I'll start sharing my screen. Can you just add my screen to the stream? All right. All right. So let's start this up. I'm already running short on time, so I'll just try to keep it short, concise, and crisp, so that all our fellow friends do not get bored, and we cover up a lot of things. So today's talk will be talking about startups and communities and how we scaled Commudle to 30,000 plus developers. So it was all that Commudle started as a side project back then in 2018. Then post that we had been getting this project, getting this build with some set of people working full time on the project. Then there were some of the interns joining us in our teams and stuff. So this has been a long and a tiring journey so far, and I'm enjoying it. So yeah, so that's the point. And again, so in today's era of computer science and development, with development being on hands for everyone, it becomes too easy for anyone to build an application. The real problem that all the startups out there are feeling is getting the users onboarded onto their platform. So even you can start up your own e-commerce store, you can start up any of your website, you can create any application you want, because right now in today's world everything is available on YouTube. You just head over to YouTube, you just find out some tutorials, you learn something new, you create, and yeah, that's how you do it, right? But eventually, with knowledge getting on your fingertips, it becomes difficult to onboard users onto your platform or onto your any kind of website, so the traffic onto your website is something that's the real costly thing. All right, so we'll hop on into the next slides. Before going ahead, who am I? So hi all, as you all already know, Chaitanya gave my introduction already. So I'm Sandeep Singh, and I'm a growth hacker at Commudle. So I have been looking for all the growth and all the partnerships positioning at Commudle since couple of months, like not couple of months exactly, since more than a year now about. And I'm also the head of Asia Pacific communities at OpenCoe, and I'm also running my side hustle, which is badelog.in, which is an e-commerce store for all the youth merchandise. So feel free to check that out post the session. So yeah, definitely you guys will like it. And then I'm also a talkative soul. I love to chit chat with people around. So if any one of you amongst the session would like to hop on a call, would like to hop on a one-on-one call with me, feel free to ping me on LinkedIn, and we'll be happy to take it forward. All right. So before starting up anything around the Commudle platform or anything, so you need to have a clear idea of what Commudle actually is. So Commudle is a platform which envisions to bring together thousands of software developers and developer communities around the world together. So the overall aim and the vision and the mission that we conspire at Commudal is we want to bring all the developers together on a single platform where whatever the needs be of a developer should be fulfilled and could be fulfilled from a single platform. So we just want to make up a clause like, if you are a developer, you need to have a profile on Commudal. That's what we are hustling towards. That's what we are looking forward for next. So that's going to be our long term vision in the short or the long run goal. And yeah, definitely, so that's what we are looking forward for in the long run. All right. So this is a one-liner mission and the vision for Commudal that we are looking forward to. If you are a developer, you should be on Commudal. So this is the statement that I would like to quote to everyone out there. Let us say after a period of couple of years, maybe when I am giving Commudal's introduction in another talk, then I'd like to say, if you are a developer, you should be on Commudal. Right now, since we are at 30,000 users, even that number may sound quite big, that number might sound quite small, but getting those 30,000 users to use the platform has been the real journey that we have been doing since so many months. All right. So now having a look inside, how Commudal actually is working and what are the things that are overall, you can say how Commudal is working and how all those things are happening around, how it brings all those developers and developer communities together, how is Commudal creating value to the developers, in what ways the platform is helping them out. So we'll have a short look into that very soon. So developer communities register on Commudal. Now what a developer community actually is. So you're watching this session via Learn for Cause. Learn for Cause is a bright community that is available into the Indian ecosystem. So communities like Learn for Cause and all those different communities that are running in India. So communities can be as big as pan India communities. Communities can be somewhere international communities with multiple chapters, or plus communities can be uh, plus communities can be something as small as a college chapter. So let us say if you are running a college chapter with some 20 students in your campus, then also Commudal is a platform for you. So it has got tons and tons of applications out there. What is the purpose that you want to use it for. So all these communities come up and register on the platform. Now, post their registration on the platform, they get a special onboarding call from our team where they are given a go through of the complete platform. They are shown how the platform is working and all that everything. The overall advantage of using Commudal is you can carry out all those intra community communications within the platform. Now when I speak about inter and intra community communications, I just mean to say that you can communicate with a person, an ex person from the community can contact to the very ex person into the community. Right now all of us sitting here, me talking to you guys over a video chat, but you guys are merely able to just text me something in the chat box. So but the overall benefit that you get over Commudal is, and okay, so all right, let us say if I just end up this call, and if I just hop off this call, will you be able to reach out to me if there was no platform called LinkedIn or something? You will never be able to reach out to me because this session is being hosted via some channel on YouTube and stuff, right? So the overall thing is that to enable all those communication gaps that are happening around into communities is the end goal that we will be aiming at from inter community communications. Now let's talk about intra-community communications. So intra-community communications are something like there is a community called Learn for Cause and there is another X community out there. So a member from this community can coordinate and call up with a member from this particular community, and then these guys can mate up together to form another new startup, to create another next new big thing. So this can be as small as creating a side project together from a member of your community or a different community, or this can be as big as finding a new startup together. So it's like, honestly speaking, communities are so vivid, communities are so wide. You never know with the guy whom you're talking for the first time at a particular event, he or she might end up being your long term co founder, or he or she might end up being your business partner, or even your life partner. So, communities are like, so unpredictable. So, yeah. And when I told you about Bade Log, the e-commerce store that I have been running, so the co-founder with the guy who's there as the co-founder along with me, we met through communities. So there was a community called Code Asylum's community, which was eventually there on Commudle platform. And via that, I again thank Code Asylum's community for bridging up me and that particular guy, so that we were able to bring up a complete a startup kind of thing together. So communities are so unpredictable, you can legit find anything out there. Okay, so now the point is, the immense amount of valuable knowledge being shared in these communities is just lost after their activities, uh, and all those things are getting lost eventually. So to preserve all those things is the place where Commudal comes into role. So let us say I'm just merely counting upon all the disadvantages that all the Indian communities ecosystem is facing. So most of the times this I have been seeing that there's an X community running their own website, running their own YouTube channel, running their own all those all those multiple communication channels. But eventually there is not a single platform where all the community members, so all the members who are there talking in the comment box right now, all the members who are talking in the comment box right now are the community members for Learn for Cause. But there's not a single platform where all these members could come up and talk together. There's not a single platform where all these people can come up and join up for a conversation. There's no single obviously Discord is there, but to facilitate everything in a single platform, why do you need to switch from WhatsApp to Discord to YouTube, multiple applications? Rather, bringing up all together is what the aim that we are having from Commudal. So plus and now the place where we are talking about preserving of information, we are trying to preserve the information as much as possible. Guys, there is someone who kept a comment like voice is lagging. So can you guys spam in the comment, please, whether it is happening for just that guy or is it happening for everyone? If my voice is clear and everything is clear, please reply with a yes. If it's not, then please reply with a no. Okay. So yep. So now the point is, apart from all these communities, the end goal which I told you of Commudal was getting hands on with developers. So individual developers are all the time welcome to make connections, to find and learn and find their dream jobs too. So Commudal might be positioning some time, it might be positioning to you sometime to bring up a dream job for you, or it might be positioning to bring up anything for you. It's just a wide pool of information out there, and it is up to you how you want to grab that up, how you want to pick that up. So it's all up to you. So now let's get that going. Where are we right now? We are at 30,000 plus total users, and plus uh, uh, now, and plus we almost have 800 to 1,000 signups every month. Now in India alone, there are thousands of developer communities. I repeat, there are thousands of developer communities that exist. But if even if they exist, they do not coexist. Means when I say that they do not coexist, means it's eventually difficult to find them up. You came up to your college, you found about an X community. Let the X community be learn for cause right now. But would that have been possible if you were not an active member into your college? So eventually, bringing up all those bright communities together, bringing up all those community events together. So you have you have, let's take a real time example for a time. So let us say you are watching this live session today, but what if there was another live session scheduled after maybe 2 hours, and you might be missing that up because you never came to know about it, because it was there was some random post floating around some random WhatsApp group and some other places, but you never came to know about it. So that's the eventual place where you came to a loss. So to recover that loss, that is the place where we bring everything together. We bring everything together to all those events together, all those communities together, to make up a strong vivid place where the developers can coordinate together. So an individual software developer can find other developers, and they can find multiple communities of his or her interest at single place. So let us say if you're a data scientist, you find communities related to data science. If you are a web developer, you find communities related to web development. So and even there are communities related to design, and communities that are completely oriented on project creation and on system design and stuff. So feel free to have a look around the platform. And plus, so before I go ahead, I would like to tell this to everyone. There's a small surprise that I have in the books for everyone within a couple of minutes, coming up in the next slides. If I'm not wrong, it will be coming up in the next third or the fourth slide. And also, I'm not going to take much of your time, so I'll keep everything short, crisp, and a surprise for you in between. Okay, so now let's talk about what has been the journey so far till now. So Commudle initially started as a side project for one community where we were facing some problems, and we thought since we are developers, let's create a small application that could automate our process, and that that could eventually automate the process to make it easier for us to conduct our community events and all that. So this was back then in year 2018. Then post that, we thought it's not just that our community is facing this problem, there will be multiple chunks of communities facing the same problem out there. So that was the place where this complete program was released for more and more communities, and we reached around 10K users back then in 2019. Since then, COVID and all that, so things have been all all the chapters of your book are always not going to be the same. Some chapters of your book are going to be full of tears, some of them are going to be emotional, some of them are going to be something. So eventually it does not matter, it's always about how better you finish off your book. So yep, so that was the place back then in 2019 we hit up a mark of 10K users. Then post that, last year 2020, the founder of Commudle, who was working along with us on the project, he just quitted his full-time job. He quitted up everything, and he was like, now I need to do Commudle full-time. So he just quitted his job and everything, and he started up doing Commudle last year. And then since last year till today, talking about the stats, it's today we have 120 plus communities on Commudle with around 30K plus users joining into those communities. And yeah, so there was some surprise which I was about to reveal just now, but it wasn't meant to be revealed right now. So let's wait for the couple of minutes more, because I am holding you guys just because of the surprise. If I reveal the surprise right now, you guys will be like, okay, now I need to close the session, I need to fix that off right now. So Hariharan says that will be kind of hectic. Yeah, obviously, man, it was, and for everyone in the complete team. All right, so now talking about impacting the lives of developers, how we have been impacting the lives of developers and everything. So there are mainly we have strategized over 3 different parts, and we are coordinating over multiple domains and demographics in terms of events. So now talking about how do we impact the lives of developers, there are multiple programs that we have been having and multiple things that we have been doing. So the first one being the Commudle campus program, the second one being the experts program, and the third one being the community program. So let's segregate them each one by one. So first one being the Commudal campus program. This has been into the book since last I guess 2 or 3 weeks, and very soon, like very super soon, like maybe in the next week or so, we are going to roll out the applications for Commudal campus program. So I hope all the guys watching in here would be following Commudal on LinkedIn, and if not, go and follow Commudal on LinkedIn. That will be really great, because as soon as we roll out the Commudal campus program, we would be really happy to see a lot of energetic guys like you into the community and into the community's ecosystem, running all those communities and hustling through the communities and binging them off. So yep. So now Commudal campus program is a program which positions you as a developer, as you as a community advocate inside your own college campus, where okay. So I just smiled and laughed at the comment that Pranjal has posted, which is half of the life of a developer passes by debugging the codes and then writing them. So yeah, obviously, but it does not happen when you are into a really good community, because when happening to be in a good community, it eventually is, you get a doubt, you get a problem, you shoot that doubt into the discussion forum, and there will be solution, there will be a solution to your doubt in a couple of minutes, something like that. Yep. So then apart from that, apart from the Commudal campus program, then we have been rolling out the Commudal experts program from last 2 weeks, I guess. Yep. So and throughout the last 2 weeks, we have got 3 experts onboarded on the platform. So now talking about how easy or how difficult has it been for you to grab a referral at a company, at a XYZ company, when you talk, let us say you want to get a referral at an XYZ company, or you want to grab some interview experiences from someone who has been working at Microsoft from last 3 years or last 4 years. So it has been obviously difficult, right? So Commudal is a platform that makes all that available for you at just a single place. So we are now onboarding experts from different big MNCs and different domain experts who are experts into their domain. There could be an expert in web development, there could be expert in data science, machine learning, and now there could not be an expert in web development. Rather, we are trying to segregate those experts in terms of frameworks, libraries, and in terms of languages. So those are different things that we have been positioning. And if you are getting onto the platform, you are checking out, you can all the time go and follow an expert. If you are following an expert, you get access to the experts newsletter, which is exclusive, which is exclusive of the people who are following that expert. So you get to know about all those updates. So let us say the next time there's an opening at Microsoft, that expert who's there on Commudal, he might roll out a newsletter which will let you know about what was the opening all about and all that different things. All right. And now talking about the community program, what's the community program? It's just basically getting more and more communities onto the platform to get more and more developers' lives impacted. So, as you might be understanding this word, word itself gives us an excitement, community. So it's not, you just break that word into two different words from the middle. It's like come with unity, and that's how I perceive it. That's how I perceive it all the time. So unity is strength, and alone we building the Commudal platform, we are nothing, and alone a community running without Commudal is nothing. So that's how, where all those things come up together, all the communities come together, and the Commudal platform comes together to create a vivid ecosystem for the developers that could be really impactful on the lives of developers. So all right. So now let's talk about the experts program, which I had already told you about. So the expert program is you can have a look, like all these guys being experts on Commudle, and within a couple of minutes I'll be showing you on how you can reach out to all of these guys. So let us say if you want to talk to Rajat Jain, who is a SDE2 at Microsoft, there's quite a great possibility on how you should reach him out, on how you should not reach him out. How do you reach out to Siddharth Singh, who's an SDE1 at Amazon? I know there have been couple of folks who have been, like, doing YouTube lives, and, like, that Fang Wali, how do I say that, like, Fang Shine, you can say, the shine and the name and the brand name that people get after getting into Fang. So all these experts are there onto the platform. It's just easy for you within, like, within a couple of clicks. No. So Harsh says that, is this the surprise? Harsh, this is not the surprise. Surprise is something even cooler than this. Let me come to that within the next 2 slides. I promise. So now again, it is the point that Commudle is a product that is accessible on all the devices. Again, like, times have changed, a lot of things have been happening. So initially there was a complete different track on which Commudle was positioned, and within the days, like, how it has been changing and how it took a complete different turn, and then, like, we have a complete different position for the platform right now. So the ability to make communities engage anywhere on any device is the essential empowered, like, is the global is the empowerment for the global teams and everyone who is working upon the project. So yeah, so okay, so there was a thing that I broke down a couple of minutes back, that community, I break it down into come plus unity. So there's a comment which says it's nice way of interpreting the word like community. So yeah, that's how we do that. All right. So now the point is, what I've got in house for everyone, like, for all the people watching us live, for all the people coming up for the Inspire India program, what are the things that I've got for all of you guys? So there are labs, builds, communities, events, networking, and much more, tons of different things. Let me just reshare my screen, and I'll be, like, I'll be resharing my screen with something else, and then, like, you'll be able to grab a better idea about it. All right, just give me a second, guys. Okay, so okay. I hope the excitement, guys, I would like to know about your excitement levels in the chat box. Spam it with hashtag Commudle, and it's COMMUDLE, not DAL. So, and it's also visible on my screen. So I would like to see all your excitement levels. Meanwhile, I share my screen. Okay. Yep, so this is something that I have been doing all the times, that I ask people to spam in the comments, so that we keep it a two-way interaction kind of thing. And it's not like, I just come up and blabber something, and you guys didn't even get a gist of it. So like, the session just goes into waste, and all my efforts, all my sleepless nights making up this, like, also, like, you might think that there was nothing in my presentation, it was completely blank. I had just, like, some of those headings, I had just some of the title points, and I had just some bullet points. So the point is, I hate giving talks over, like, over slides that are full of text material, and, like, you are neither able to read the text on the screen, you are neither able to hear me up. So I hate those type of talks. So that is the reason all those slides that have been prepared, like, I have spent, like, legit, this talk is going to be for half an hour or 40 minutes, but I have spent more than hours curating the content for that. I have been spending hours thinking, like, what should I be talking about it. So all right, just a quick look, guys, pay attention to my screen. This is the time. So this is the time for which you guys were waiting for. It's the time for the surprise. Now I'll be giving you a quick go through of the platform on what are the things that you can find around the platform. So this is the homepage, commudle.com. You can just go and check out here. If you are a community organizer who would like to join up your community on Commudle, you can just click upon start a community and fill up a short form, and then our team will be reaching out to you within a period of max 2 days. Then, as I already told you, there could be tons of events that would be coming up and a lot of amazing events coming up, but you might end up missing them, which could be from different communities. So there's Dev Street organizing this event, and all those different events from different communities, Side Path, Women Who Code Delhi, Geeks for Geeks, SRMIST. So all those things are something that you can find up at a single place. Then apart from that, apart from all these communities, apart from all these events, you can find all the communities listed down at a single place. You can find all those different communities here. Apart from that, if you want to have a quick look, you go to the communities tab from the top, and you can see all those different communities, and what are the number of events they have conducted so far, what are the number of members that they are having in their community. So let us try to have a quick look into Code Warriors. And so this was the community that had conducted some of the events into the past. So you find, okay, so this is something that you might be missing out all the time. So let us say, even if you're watching the stream today, do not forget to thank the Learn for Cause organizers who have organized this session for you, right? So you never know who's the guy sitting behind who has been working from last 20 days. So if you do not know him, his name is Dhruva Jyoti, and you might end up seeing him maybe in tomorrow's stream or day after tomorrow's stream. He is the organizer for this community. So again, so all these organizers and all their efforts go under noticed, and all those different things go undermined. So that is the place, and it's not just that he does it all alone. There's a complete set of people who are doing that together, and all those people go under noticed. So to bring up a life for all of them, to show up to show up things for all of them, this is the organizers tab that we have here. You can find all the organizers that are working for the community and all those different things. You can find all the past events conducted by the community at a single place coming down here. If you click on a particular event, you can also see the past version of that particular event. So you can see a recorded version, you can see what. All right, so apart from that, if I ask you guys, hey, would you can you show me the slides that you had shown me in the session, in 10, you took a session 10 months back, can you show me the slides? I'll be like, okay man, I'm running very busy this week, and can you give me some time so that I'll be able to find out those guys, just give me a second. Yep. So now the point is, we need to have a look at all of those things. So you might end up missing all those slides, you might end up missing all those amazing speakers that have been there into the community. So let us say, if I I can check out who are the speakers who have given a talk over this community. So let us say, if I go to just another profile, I can see what are the different, if he or she has completed their profile, I can check out their talks and all those different things. So let us say I can see this speaker, the person who has given a talk, so I can find out this event was on 1st of December 2020. The event was everything you need to know about React as a beginner. Let us say if I had failed to attend that session, and even today I can just check out what were the topics that have been covered into the session, what were the slides. So right now I don't know why the slides are not being visible over here. There has been some mess with Google Docs or Google Slides, so it's just a Google Slides integration that brings up all those slides over here for you. So now talking about, so this was what we were exploring on the communities page. Apart from that, you can just go to any of those communities, check that up, and there will be a button here. So I'm already a member in this community. If you want to join any other community, you just go to that, and you just click upon become a member, and you can just join up that particular community. Apart from that, hashtag surprise in the comment box if you want to know that within the next 1 minute. Hashtag surprise fast. I'll wait for a minute. I do not have to go anywhere. I'm like, I'm just sitting up here. I'm waiting for you guys. I want to see how much excited you guys are. So Rohan says, can students do internship through Commudle? Yes, they can do, Rohan, but there were openings like, couple of months back, but right now there are not many. Oh, so I can see like, messages spamming through the chat box, and that's so amazing to see. So now the other thing is, there is this feature on Commudle which is called as labs. Now what labs are actually? Labs are nothing but just like, big tutorials broken down into smaller steps. So let us say, if you want to create a REST API, if you want to deploy a REST API, you can do that in just 15 minutes. And like, you might be able to find a lot of YouTube video tutorials, a lot of blogs on different platforms, but the only thing that they might not be able to facilitate you is like, explaining them to you step by step, like, holding your hand and then taking you through the pathway. Like, there are two different things. I can build a bridge for you and I can ask you, go cross your bridge yourself. The second option is, I create a bridge for you, I hold your hand throughout the journey, and I take you to like, cross the bridge. And that's what we are doing here together. So like, you can just break down multiple tutorials into smaller steps, and then like, create multiple different things around those lines. Then apart from that, like, so there you can find a lot of different labs around these things. They need to be technical or anything that a developer could get benefit from. An ultimate guide to GitHub, how to create AWS free tier account, or like, how to create an iPad Pro 11 mockup. Like, this is a design lab. Create a Sheets API in just 3 steps. So all those different things, like, so now talking about the surprise, which I have been like, I made like, I made you guys wait from the starting of the stream, that there's a surprise. Let's have a look what it actually is. So coming to this, on the labs page on the top, you can see this create lab button. And so like, even you guys can write your own lab. And if you try to write your own lab, like, I'll not say I'll promise it for everyone, but definitely you guys can just hop on here, try to create a lab. I'll just create a test lab, and I'll just show you guys how easy it is for you. So I just created a test lab. You can just land up onto this page. There'll be a guide video on the side. You can just click upon that guide video. You can see on how to create a different lab for you. You can enter tags to get a better visibility. You can add section, you can add description, you can add a header image for your lab and all that. So this is like, this is what I am calling up. I'm calling up labs for Commudle from this stream, and the best lab to be published within the next week gets a t-shirt, and it will be shipped right at your home location. So you do not need to worry about where to collect it from or anything, and I'll get that delivered right to your doorstep within 1 week. Like, we will be awaiting responses for a period of a week. Yep. So we would be calling in labs on Commudle from all the fellow viewers and watchers along with me here. So yep, I'm excited to see all those different people. I'm excited to see all these good people putting up like, a lot of efforts to put up their lab and bring up things. And apart from that, if there has been a side project, or if there has been any kind of short project that you have been building all over the times, you can definitely hop on over to builds and you can share it over here. Any kind of project that you have built over time, to get your project featured over here. So now at this point, half of you guys will be like, questioning me that I can definitely publish my projects over GitHub, then why do I need to publish them over Commudle? The only reason is, GitHub is not going to give you a visibility into the developer communities until and unless someone is having a link to your GitHub repository. But if you are sharing your project over GitHub, this is over Commudle, this is the benefit that you get. Like, this was the project that I built sometime earlier, and So your profile gets visibility, your project gets visibility, and people can just come up and shoot discussions around the project. They can star or give a star to encourage you or something. So a lot of different things inside there. It's your call right now to go and check out the platform and all those different things happening around. So now I'll stop sharing my screen, and I'll just come back to my slides again, because I think I just missed my slide. Where is it? Okay, it's here. Can somebody please add my screen back? Yep. Yeah. So this was this was what the surprise that I was positioning in for you guys. Eventually, so the best lab, the best lab to be published within the period of next 1 week is going to get a T-shirt from my side, and that's a damn promise. You can anytime hit me up over my LinkedIn to catch up, who is the winner or something. And even if you want to hop on a chit chat call around Commudle or anything And now let's talk about a very small and a keen interesting fact. Commudle is just a team of 7 people. Out of these 7 people, few of them are founder, co-founder, designer, developer, growth people, marketing people, sales people. So it's just a team of 7 people. And the even more interesting fact about even more of an interesting fact about Commudle is that I was the first employee to the company. So it all started back years ago. Even I haven't completed a year so far. I have completed around 8 to 10 months with Commudle so far, and this has been amazing. I was the first employee to the company, and that excites me so much. So this was all that I had got covered for today's session for you guys. Connect with me on any of the platforms you would like to. These are my different profile links for all those social media or anything. So that's it from my side, guys. Over to the team from Learn for Cause or anybody from the comments to shoot any kind of questions if you have any.
Okay, shall I ask you some questions, Sandeep?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
I think it was an amazing session. I got to learn a lot about communities, and also I think it's great that you guys are building communities and bringing people of similar interests together and helping them grow together as well. So since you said you're short of time, I've reduced the number of questions. So the first question is, how did you get to know about Commudle, and what is it that attracted you to Commudle?
All right. It's again something something that would take up a lot of time, because it's a complete I can dictate this as a complete story timeline on how I came to know about Commudle. So eventually initially I showed you guys Code Asylum's community, right? So I was the organizer for Code Asylum's community. I was the community manager for Code Asylum's community, where I was used running Code Asylum's community for so long, and that was the place I found out about Commudle from some of the different websites, something something from anywhere. And then later I found the platform so interesting. So me running communities was a passion for me, that fueled my blood with I need to do something for the developers. I need to solve all the problems that these guys are facing up, because me being a developer, I understood the pain points that we always had. So that was the place I found out oh, this is amazing. So this this just blew off my mind, took off my night's sleep. And the next day I just called up the founder and I was like, hey, you do not have an opening into your company, but I am I am happy to contribute into your company for this role. So he was like, okay, you are welcome. So I was like, okay, let's do this up. So that was how I just joined up. So again, this is a suggestion for everybody. You do not need to look up for opportunities all the time. They might not always knock your door, but sometimes you need to go and knock up their door, knock up the opportunities door, and you need to create an opportunity for yourself. So that's how I did it.
That's great. So the next question I have is, how do we maintain the organization's personal brand while using Commudle?
Okay, so again, this is a very brilliant question. Okay, so now there has been a post that has been floating and it was viral on LinkedIn. The post was the startups that are not having communities for the next 5 years will go extinct, because communities are the future. As we say in the technological era that blockchain is the future, in the same way communities are the future for startups. Any startup that's not having a community around them is eventually going to fail or something like that. So
Right.
now the point is, communities are basically that, in the old times it was just a person using a product, a person using something that the company is giving up as a product. But right now today, instead of just using a product, or instead of just getting a user to purchase your product or something, it is more of like you need to build a relationship with your customer. Because if you are not building up or bridging a relationship with your customer, he might end up going to some other uh, some other competitor. Even in the terms of community that you are running, I'm taking a very real time example. Let us say if you are not organizing continuous sessions, right? If you are not organizing very interactive sessions, if you are not organizing relevant sessions, people might end up going to different communities where they might find different something more relevant. So it's all that are required. So how do you keep that all these fellow people spamming in the comments are always your so-called fans? So you do that just by maintaining a relationship, you just do that by maintaining a relationship with all these guys. So that's how you do that.
Right. Okay, so like how was Commudle as an organization formed? Like how did the idea arise? And
So it was not there was an idea of Commudal coming up as an organization or something. It was it was just a side project that we were building just for fun. Okay, let's do this just for fun or something like that. Then
uh,
post that, okay, so we were like, okay, this is a lot of people might be facing the problem that even we are facing. So we are like, okay, let's do this and let's launch it for everyone. Let the world just get benefited from it. Let everyone, if the dish is so sweet, if I like the dish, I would like to share it with everyone. Because eventually, that's how we do that.
great. Okay, so like you guys keep reaching new milestones. So like talking about milestones, what are your future goals? What is your vision for Commudle?
So our vision for communities, our vision for our future milestones are something like, we want all those developers to be on Commudal. We want all those developers to create a build and a better ecosystem for everyone. So the developers out there, okay, so me being a developer, I have been getting requests over my LinkedIn that, yeah, I am getting this doubt in this, can you please help me? I am getting this doubt in this, can you please help me? But the people also need to understand that bhaiya might be busy with his own work and he might not be able to find out time to help you out. So what's the solution for this problem? The problem to this solution is finding out a community and going and contributing equally to the community. It's not that you should just be a leech from a community to grab all the knowledge, but you should also pour knowledge into the community. That's how you do that. Because a single person, howsoever he or she is tall, they might go to a certain height and they might fall. Your leg is of a single strength. Even if you are 100 feet tall, you might fall after a certain length. But if you start forming a pyramid with people, you can reach infinite length. So that's what I believe in.
That's amazing. I'm sure with your level of clarity and vision, you will reach your milestones very soon in the near future. So,
Yeah,
like
obviously.
a lot of communities like these are coming up, and students are really attracted to them. What is your one advice to these students?
Okay, my one advice to the students. Okay, so my one advice to the students is, joining up these communities, pouring in a lot of knowledge, grabbing a lot of knowledge does not really work if you are not finding out time to put these all these skills into the real time thing. If I told you about labs, if you got to know about this amazing platform, if you are not going and checking this out after the session, it's all waste. If I'm not talking about it's not that I want to drive traffic to my platform or something. I just want to let you understand that if you are learning something, if you are learning React.js in a session and you're not going and implementing that back after the call, it's just that you are you are just putting that into a waste thing. So it is all the time important that you keep a hold of things and then you go and implement that. That's the real place where the real learning goes on.
Right. Okay. So now we come to the end of our Q&A session. Thank you for clarifying all our doubts.
All right.
I think you can take up questions from the audience now, if there are
I
any
guess.
questions.
Okay. Okay. So, guys, are there any questions from your side? Like, I'd be happy to take them up. So let me just. Uh, Harsh Mehta says whether Commudle is a platform just like Rock. I am not sure what is Rock. So, maybe I need to check that up, and post that we can have a call. So I'm not exactly sure what is Rock. Mhm. So there's a question from Ashutosh which says, "Does Commudal provide command prompt integration to manage our uh, project or labs?" Like the last comment in the comments box. So we might create on platform as it is with Git. So just a clarification for Ashutosh that it is not something as close to GitHub that you might be relating it to. There is no command prompt integration or something. It is completely user friendly interface that comes up with a beautifully decorated GUI. And so any of those labs that you are creating, mostly it is going to be technical content that is written down into smaller steps or something. So you might be required to attach some screenshots or some code snippets or some of those different things, so that might be able to do, just for that command prompt is not required. And then post that for any kind of builds. It is not that you create your projects on Commudal, it's that you create them somewhere else and you just publish it over there for others in the developer ecosystem to have a look over it. Rajat says, "Does your company have a GitHub account?" Okay, so there have been a couple of questions from Rajat. According to you, Python is good or Java or AWS? So, I am not sure how are you relating Python, Java, and AWS. You can definitely have a relation between Python and Java, but how does AWS comes into play? I am not sure about it. So, I guess you need to have a better view of your question. Now the point is, okay. So there's another question. What is the GitHub account for Commudal? So you can just go to the okay. So this was again the amazing thing which I forgot to tell you guys about, which is the complete front end for Commudal is open source, and you can just go over to Google and you can search Commudal GitHub. Make sure you're typing the correct spelling. It's Commudle, and you are just typing Commudal GitHub and you will just get that over there. So it's just as easy as that. And there's a question from Abhishek that he wants to know my age. Man, why do you want to know my age? I'm just 21, a little kid. um, okay. I'm not sure if there are any more questions. I guess we are done.
Okay, we'll wrap up. Thank you, Sandeep, for bringing something really new and fresh to the table. So I hope you had a good time here. We all
Yep.
had a great time with you. Thank you. It was a
Obviously,
pleasure.
there were a couple of active polls inside the comments box. I was happy to see, because I can see the activity that these guys have been pouring up into the session. All right,
Exactly.
it's amazing. Okay, Chaitanya, I'll take off now. Bye bye,
Thank you.
and
Thank
you
you.
guys
Bye.
can continue with all the amazingness. All right, bye.
Bye. Sorry, I think I was unmuted. Thank you, and over to Dhruv.
All right. So moving ahead, it was an amazing session from Sandeep on Commudle platform. I think most of you have already understand what Commudle is all about and how Commudle can be the next future of community management. Right now, having that said, we'll move ahead and now we'll talk about something very technical. Right, I think most of our crowd comes in from the technical background, and this is the series where all we'll be discussing about the recent upgrades, recent updates, and what is the future of different technological aspects. The next 3 days in the project deployment series, you will get to know all about different technologies which we can use, which we can implement, and how to uh, grow us not only on the programming skills but also on our designing skills, on our thinking ability, to make sure whatever we develop is a proper product and can be perfectly marketable. So today's topic is we will discuss about web development, and we'll be discussing about what's next in web development. And most of the people here, they are, we all use web applications, right? We all use dynamic web applications, we all use Amazon, Google, but we often come across a fact that uh, there are certain web applications which are doing quite great, but there are certain web applications which are not which we are who are not able to do that great in their performance, right? There are sometimes where we find the web application being lagging behind, and there is times when the web application are just not designed properly the way they should have been. So there are certain reasons behind those, and we will be trying to focus on those points in this particular session. And we'll try to make sure that after this session you get the information about each and every aspect of web development, and at what sectors should we actually contribute and put our interest into, to make sure that we have a proper web application in our market. So web is the platform as compared to Android or any other device, any other platform. Like we have Android, we have machine learning, artificial intelligence, but web applications and web development is a platform which is defined by the user, and it is all about what a user wants, and that is what the web application provides. That is what the developer actually builds, right? So our major objective is to make sure that whatever we are building is perfect for the user to use, is perfect for the user to make sure that they are like it is perfectly the interface of the web application is quite user friendly. The web application provides different versatility to the user, so that there can be different applications of the particular web application, right? Now, having that said, our major objective becomes to understand what is a user requirement, and that brings us to the next question of this particular session, that what is actually the things that are the user demands, or what are the things that as a user I would like to see in a particular web application. Whenever I visit a web application, a website, what is the thing that I would like to put my interest into, so make sure that I get a proper user experience, right? How can I get a proper user experience by using an application? What are the demands that I have as a user? So talk about that, we will just discuss what is needed, right? And the first thing is simplicity. If we talk about web applications, I'll just take an example, Google. Everybody, all of us, we use Google, right? The major reason why Google Chrome is the most used browser in today's date is the simplicity that Google Chrome provides us with. There is no functionality which is not understandable by any person, right? Any beginner, any person who is not well aware of how to use a website, maybe there can be a rare situation for that, but again, there can exist a situation where someone would not really have an information about how to use a website. Even that person, if they use Google, if they use Amazon, they will have the idea of how to use this particular web application, and what is the functionality, what are the tabs that I actually required to make sure that whatever objective I'm in for is completed. Now, simplicity is observed in MNCs, but if you talk about startup websites, if you talk about websites which are built by recently by different startups around us, student communities, clubs, and societies, we find that the simplicity is just not available. And more, what we find more is all about a lot of different ads running over the website, and a lot of different information, a jumbled sort of information, which makes it difficult for the user to understand what is the actual requirement, and which makes the user to actually which makes the user to to understand, which makes the user to basically not being able to connect to the particular web application, and not the whatever the task, whatever the objective of the particular company is not fulfilled as a result of it. So how can we fix that thing? So if we just do a survey over the internet right now in the global space, we will see that many websites, they want to do too much, and they want to do too much very fast. What do I mean by this? There may be a startup, there may be any organization who is just beginning up in their industrial career, and they are using the digital platform to market their product, market their services. But when you actually start a startup, when you actually start a community or anything, whenever you are using any web platform to publicize your service or product, you have to be very much sure about what you are actually trying to sell or what you are actually trying to portray to the crowd, because that information is the what information that the user would come in for to you, right? That is the information that is sometimes not available in particular websites, and even if it is available, you would have to search a lot to find those information. And what is the reason behind that? The reason is very simple. The person, the startup or the organization, they try to do a lot of different things at the same amount of time, right? They want to invest in a lot of different no ideas, a lot of different services, and because of those particular steps, the main objective of the particular website, it is just it becomes useless, right? So there are three main ways how we can what is because of which this particular thing happens. First, the business model. I'll come back to this in some time, but yes, the business model plays a very important part when you talk about building a web application. The second is the logic and details. What is the logic and what are the details that the web application actually wants to deliver? That's very important. And the third is the self-awareness, and the self-awareness is somewhat related to the customers and the users and the developers interaction among themselves itself, right? So talking about the business model, if you talk about Google or Flickr or any other big MNCs, we find a very simple thing. They do a single thing and they do that very perfectly. They focus on a particular objective. Like if you just take an example, if you just use the Google Meets platform in the web application, in the web format, they just have a one task to do, that is a host a particular meeting, right? And they do it pretty fine, and that's the reason that millions of users are using it. At the same point of time, if you just use Gmail, what do we use Gmail for? We use Gmail for sending our mails, right? So what does this actually imply? Google as a company doesn't really provide a single web page where you can find Gmail, Google Meet, and everything. Rather than that, Google provides you multiple applications, multiple web application, multiple pages where you can visit and do whatever task you want to do. The objective is fulfilled accordingly. So what they focus is one task at a time, and that is successful for them. And that is the mantra you can consider for a web developer, to make sure that they, whatever startup or whatever organization's website you're building, it should just reach out to the particular crowd in a perfect way, and it should reach out to the perfect particular crowd in the perfect timetable and a perfect manner as well, right? Third, simplification. So it is very important to have simple information in your website. What do I mean by it? If you just you have to understand as a startup what is your target market, what who is the target market that you are actually delivering your service or product to. Now there can be situations where many startups, many organizations, they have a brilliant idea, they have brilliant concept, but they're just not able to implement it. Why? Because of the reason that their idea is just not simple, their idea is just not easier to people to understand. They just portray their concept in such a way that it becomes very difficult for the user to understand what is the actual objective of the startup. Even when Learn for Cost started, we had a different domains here. We had research, we had open source, and things like that. And we ourselves got the feedback that whenever the user was coming into our platform, they were messed up because of the fact that there are so many domains. It becomes difficult for the user to understand what is good for them, what is not. They have a lot of options, and at the same point of time, and which even and that too with a lot of very small information, with no not very good sort of explanation or benefits or things like that. So that creates a problem, and that creates a major problem for the users, and that is the reason that the web application decreases. The traffic in the web application decreases. Next, what is important is the most important thing for my this is on my opinion, this is the most important thing, is that most of the web application today is that they rely on random advertisements as they get AdSense approval, and after that what happens, the entire web application is banged with a lot of different advertisements, and that actually hampers the website's traffic, the actual organic traffic of the website. That's what I meant to say. Because as a service, as a organizer, as a startup, you would have a certain community, you would have a certain zone of people that would be that to whom you would be serving your product or your service. And if you just bang your entire website with such sort of advertisement and things like that, which is not delivering the information that you actually want to deliver, it creates a bunch of problem for the user, right? And as a result of which the startup or the organization will lose their crowd for sure. So what is the solution of it? So the major solution that we have is the managers, they need to learn that they need to have a rational business model and a rational site structure to make more money online. Simple as that. You need to have a simple objective, a simple plan, a structure which you want to execute with minimum functionality with minimum sort of confusion in your web application for the user. You need to provide the perfect information to the user to make sure that they are receiving the best information at the right point of time, right? So moving forward, how do we actually achieve that simplicity? That's a very big problem. I am talking about simplicity, I'm talking about having a simple web application, but how do we actually create a simple website? How do we actually make sure that if our content that we're delivering is simple or not? So we have to consider one point, or one particular point. Whatever service, whatever product that we're actually delivering, it would have certain details, right? It would have certain benefits, it would have certain features. And simplicity comes in when we actually focus on those benefits, we actually focus on those features of the product. It's quite simple. If you just imagine in your mind, we are using a particular product, maybe XYZ, and I've moved to the website, I don't find any information about the benefits and the features. Would I use that product? Obviously no, right? So but in the same point of time, if I just visit a website where I am just trying to know about a product called XYZ, and I find a lot of different information about the benefits and the features that the product is actually delivering, that makes me that motivates me more to use the product, right? So what happens? The conversion ratio just changes, it drastically increases, and that becomes very important for us. And that is a major reason why every project manager or web developer should make sure that they have the certain product details or service details which they should be delivering. As simple as that. If you take an example of Google, we have Google, we all use Google in our day-to-day life. Do we have any sort of information in Google which is of our no use? It's just so simple. We just use a Google platform to search anything, and that's it. It provides us a simple application, and we do the most important thing, like that that anybody uses, like in today's date in industry or any particular organization. uh, they just provides us a simple application which makes your job done, and that is what is our requirement. Moving forward, so if you just have to talk about the examples that a website makes, while development, uh, for developer, you can relate to this particular fact, that there are instances where whenever you build a client project, or if you build a particular company's website, there is someone who is guiding you, who is telling you what to do, what not to do, right? But this thing would change, and proper information, a proper web application would be built only when there is a user relationship between the developer and the startup founders or co-founders or the CEOs, whatever you call it. And that becomes very important in case of delivering a proper end-to-end scalable application, right? So one of those examples is the invoice machine. If you just move to the platform of invoice machine, you'll find that the web application is designed in such a way which delivers the proper information about generating invoices, digital invoices, in this least amount of time, and that is what the requirement of the industry is correct. Now moving forward, if you are not a web designer yourself, okay, suppose you are not a web designer, but you are interested into designing, if you are interested into contributing to the web development, you don't know how to code, you do not really know how to code in HTML, CSS, React, JavaScript, Next, or Node.js, anything like that, but you want to contribute to development of web application. How do you do that? Now in open source, this is a very famous term, that open source is for everyone and anybody can come and contribute. Doesn't really require you to be a technical person, a non-technical person, nothing like that. So what do we actually want to say by that? Even if you're not a web designer, you can still contribute to any development of web application by using your logic, by using your structures, and by knowing the industry and the requirement of the user. That is a very important part of building a web application, building a scalable web application, to know what the user actually wants, what is the target market, what is the back end research that someone is doing to make sure that you are having a proper web application running in your server. So those sort of things happen only when you are researching a lot, you are putting in a lot of efforts into researching a lot of different stuffs, and making sure that whatever product that you're building is properly deliverable to the proper target market, whoever the product is built for. Now again, talking about this entire scenario of building web applications, just give me a minute. All right, so talking about web applications, even if you are not a web developer, I was mentioning the fact, even if you are not a web developer, you can still contribute to the idea of developing scalable application by just using your industry logic and market research. Now, just moving ahead, right now in today's generation, this kind of training, this kind of support is highly provided from even school, from colleges, right? Which actually helps, even if you are not from technical background, which actually helps you to make sure to understand what is the requirement of the user, what is the design that actually the user wants. If you are a school student, if you are not from engineering background or something like that, you still are aware of the proper market, what is marketable in the market and what is not, right? You still have the idea, you still use industry, you still are a part of the selling market. So in that case, you have the idea of what is the user actually, what is the thing that user actually demands, and what kind of designs that the user actually wants in the web application. So you can contribute using those ideas as well, right? Again, having that said, there is also something called testing. uh, if you're building a web application or any dynamic web application, it becomes very important that you test the application properly again, right? So you need to have a proper community of students or any users who will test your application, and that testing would provide you with a lot of different feedbacks, and the web developers in the backend can again research over it and start working over it, right? Now, this is as a whole, if I have to summarize this entire point, I would just what I want to say is, it does not really require you to be good in coding or in programming to contribute to building of a web application. Building a web application does not just involve a good developer or a good technical person. Rather, it develops proper mathematical logic, proper user understanding, proper market research, and a lot of different things. And if you have even one of them, you can contribute to that idea. Now, you can even just have a like, you can understand from the market that there are certain, whenever if you use Play Store, you would see that there are, like, when this 4G game was coming in, there was a time when it was available for testing, only just testing purpose. The people just can download the game and test it. So what actually happens in the testing phase? This is one of the most important phase that people actually consider while developing any application. So what actually happens in that particular phase? If I have particularly built a web application and I deliver that web application to the market, the next step is the user to come and use that application. Now, I cannot just bombard my application over the users and say them that come and use the application and just give me a particular feedback and things like that. There need to be certain benefits, there need to be certain um, you know advantages the user receives. So this testing phase of developing a web application actually releases the web application to only certain users, the users who are using the product for certain duration of time, and they give their necessary feedbacks, right? And those feedbacks, as a web developer, as a web team in the backend, helps the web team to make sure that they improve their website, they improve the performance of the website, they improve the scalability of the website, and as a whole, this increase the entire, what we say, entire the performance and the features that you actually deliver in your web application, correct? So that is again another important thing. All right, we talked about simplicity. Now let's move ahead. And the next thing that would be important for the user is the speed, right? We all we would never use any platform which is lagging at today's date of when we are using like applications at a fast pace. We highly recommend everyone to use any web application which is having a particular fast speed, right? So we do not really want to have lagging in our or buffering in our particular web application. So we want everything that we do to be in a particular speed. So how do we achieve that? Now, if you just consider, if you just talk about something else rather than web development, you'll understand that television, or why do we use television even today? Today, in today's date, we actually have access to a lot of different platforms which can give us the where we can live watch live TV or something like that. But we still choose to use television at certain point of time. Why do we do that? The major reason behind this is using a television is a faster process, correct? Whenever we use a television, we just need to take our remote and just click on a button, and we can just move to the channel that we want. Rather than the same thing, if you do in a mobile phone or any web laptop or something like that, we have to move to Hotstar or something like that and log in and search for the channel, click on the channel, it will buffer for some time, and then we actually get the access to the particular series or time or whatever we want to actually watch. So that is quite a long process, and that is a time consuming process. But at the same point of time, television provides us with a very quick instance and very quick response, right? So even in today's date where we are actually running in the digital era, televisions, they still have the same edge over mobile phones and streaming softwares as they previously had. So this is something that the future holds for us. This is a task that, as a web developer, as a web designer, I have the responsibility to make sure how we can use how we can use different techniques, different technologies to build scalable web application, which would decrease this loading time, and also which will focus on speeding up the processes by reducing physical manipulations over the surface design, right? So uh, how do we do that? The first thing that we have to bring a change is from this is a quote, what the CEO wants to what the user needs. As I mentioned in the very beginning of this session, I talked about how the students, or the people who are building web application, they are bombarded by information given by the startup founders and co-founders that, you have to do this for us. I just need this particular feature in my just give me a minute. All right. So yeah, I just need this particular feature in my development, in my web application, right? So how do this change? And until and unless this change, we are not able to generate a scalable web application which will generate us a proper sort of like use case, right? So for that purpose, it is very important for us to make sure that we transform the system from CEO wants to user needs. We have to focus on what is the needs of the user rather than what is the CEO trying to deliver, right? um, if you just take an example, if you have visited the iPhone's websites, right, if Apple websites as a whole, you'll see how dynamic their websites are, and how less of an information they deliver. You won't find a single paragraph of 30 lines or 15 lines in Apple applications, and that's a major reason why Apple designs are one of the best standard designs in the modern era, right? So what they actually do, as a user, I don't really want to read a lot of different lines. As a user, I don't really want to read a lot of different paragraphs and a lot of different information. Rather, what I want to see is a visual depiction of what is actually happening with the product. Or I want to just have a proper graph, or maybe in the numbers, I just want to see the numbers of how many people are using the product, or things like that. So Apple has as a company, they have focused on that particular aspect, and that's a reason, leaving behind every other mobile application or desktop application company, Apple is able to deliver the best web designs available in the market in today's date. And as a web developer, we motivate ourselves by looking at those web designs, right? So we have to take that culture that Apple has started of focusing on less amount of information deliver, like less amount of jumbled information, and rather focusing on high end visual data and high end visual graphical data, rather I should say, right? So those are the things that we should actually try to focus on from now onwards. So moving ahead, again, we have to focus on like we talked about speed, we talk about simplicity. That next comes the main trends. What is the trending in the market right now? What is the actual demand of the market right now? So surface designer websites will become as standard as a choice of fonts, right? If you just see, or if you have observed in today's day, like in the last 1 year or 2 years, if you have just observed this particular fact, most of the web applications, they're using certain set of fonts. They're using certain set of standardized fonts, and that have been used by some reputed MNCs like Google or Apple or any other company, right? Or Amazon maybe, right? So what does this actually imply? So we are in a revolution where we are moving into a particular platform, a particular ecosystem, where we'll have maximum amount of whatever technology that we'll be using, or whatever approach that we'll be having, it will be based on how the user demands, or how the MNCs have, the big MNCs, the web design MNCs, which have been motivating us to design amazing web design. We are just moving into the ecosystem where we actually follow that culture, right? And as a result of which, the previous, or the traditional way of developing web application using multiple fonts and multiple designs is actually eradicating it with time today. If you just see websites nowadays, you'll find that most of the time the websites are focused with just give me a minute. Okay. So if you just observe the fact that in today's day, the websites they focus on a single theme. They have a single theme, and that they are following throughout the web application, and that is what the user actually wants. They have to have a unanimous and homogeneous web experience, and that is what the nowadays most of the startups who are using the modern day technologies, they're able to provide. So again, standardize of web technology and web design is a huge step forward. Again, yeah, right, because to make sure that we have a set of information and set of technologies, a bunch of set of technology that we'll be using to implement our requirement is quite a difficult task, and it's quite a mammoth task to complete, because the industry is quite big and not everybody would be open up for changes, right? Not everybody would be they'll be available for changes. Rather than that, we will have like a more opposition from organizations and startups to make sure that the change is always opposed by most of the people. This is the culture of human beings, right? So to bring such a revolution is also a very difficult task, because we are talking about bringing in a certain sort of practices, certain sort of technologies to use daily in a regular basis for all web applications unanimously. And to make sure this happens, we'll have to deliver them with numbers. And right now, companies like Apple, companies like Google and Microsoft, they're able to deliver the numbers. And we are entering into a revolution where these numbers are actually playing the figures. They're just playing the figures, and as a result of which, most of startups and companies, they're adapting their technological aspects and their way of approaching a web application or developing a web application. So as a whole, if I have to summarize whatever I have said till now, it is like it was all about what the user actually demands from you, what the user actually wants from you, and how we can actually change it. Because as a web developer and a web designers, we have the responsibility of delivering the proper information and the proper source of experience to the user, right? And how we can do that is by adapting to the modern technologies and modern day resources that are available. And if I have to just mention some, I'll just mention just moving your traditional web application, the monolithic web application, to microservices, right? And using like things like technologies like React or Node, and like using the Mon stack basically to develop your web application. That reduces a lot of your loading time, and it gives a lot of different functionality to your web application. Again, talking about the same fact, even nowadays React is tradition is termed as traditional. Rather, we have got certain React frameworks which we can use to make sure that we build our application like Next and others, right? So those are the things and technologies that we actually have to adapt as a web developers and designers, and that will actually result us in the success of a particular web application or dynamic web application in the coming days, right? So that is all about it. That this is what we have to actually have a change in our culture, actually a change in our ecosystem, which will be reflected in our users, and obviously will generate us a high amount of traffic as well. Perfect. So moving ahead, we'll just have the ask me anything session now. So if you guys have any doubts so far, like you can drop your questions, and we can move ahead with the experience. Like we can move ahead with your questions. So you can drop your questions, whatever query you have regarding the session or web application, and we can try to fix them up. All right, so we have a question from Himan. All right, what software do we need to build a web application? Um, you'd require a particular web app, like you need to learn a certain technologies like React or Node or any other, right? And along with that, you'll have to have a basic understanding of HTML, CSS, JavaScript as well. That's it. Like that will work for you. So Arjun has asked, what's the best tech to learn? Arjun, in my opinion, right now, it's just best to learn Munch tech, and it will give you all sort of flexibilities and use cases that as a user we actually require. And so yeah, just Munch tech. Just go with Munch tech. You will find the resources, various resources of learning Munch tech. Various trainings and YouTube videos are available over Munch tech, so you can just start learning Munch tech, and that's the best way to start building your web applications. Harsh Mehta, how can one use Python to build web applications? So yeah, exactly. Arjun has answered about Django as well. So yeah, Harsh, you can use Django and Flask to use build web applications using Python. You can build dynamic web application using Python as well, and like with some the various other functionalities. So even Python provides you with that. Yeah, perfect. All right. In your perspective, what is more important, development or competitive programming? I think both of them are important. Like it differs from time to time. What is the requirement of the student? If you are interested into more into problem solving and things like that, you can go for competitive programming. But if you are interested more about developing applications and developing products and releasing them, then you can go for development. I think both can be done alongside. But if that depends upon which university and what kind of college you are from. Like if you are in search of a placement and things like that, and if you are in IITs or NITs, obviously competitive programming does the job for you. You do not really have to have a great resume or things like that. But in case you are from a tier 3 college or tier 2 college, you would have to have some development experience, development projects, quite heavy development projects, and only then you will be able to have a good amount of placement and things like that. So that is again very important. But to summarize or to give a particular answer, I would suggest do both, but do the one which is good for you. As a result, like you will understand what is good for you, and you will be able to do the right thing at the right time.
I think there is a network issue, guys, so kindly wait. Guys, Dhruv is facing a network issue, so he'll join us soon. So please be patient and wait. So the next speaker is supposed to arrive only at 8. So meanwhile, we'll be, posting fun quizzes or something to keep the audience engaged until Aditya or Brai comes. So please do participate and please be patient for the next session.
Sorry to keep you guys waiting. We have a next speaker with us. That is Mr. Aditya Oberoi. Mr. Aditya Oberoi is an intern at Tech Dome Solutions. He's pursuing data science and engineering at Amity University, Noida. He's also the national winner of Microsoft Imagine Cup 2021. I now welcome Mr. Aditya Oberoi. He'll be joining us, guys, in a minute.
Hey,
Hi, Mr. Aditya. How are you doing?
all good here. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, how's the lockdown treating you?
I don't know what people are gonna say to this, but honestly speaking, I think it's actually been kind of good for me.
Has it
Uh,
affected
no,
your work
but
and
like
or like
I
quite
think it created a lot of opportunities for me. So it's been good that way. That is, of course, keeping in mind that yes, it's been a difficult situation for all of us in different ways, and I hope everyone's been keeping safe. Everyone's families have been keeping safe, and yes, I mean, this has been it's been a good time for me personally. That's what it is.
okay. So what is that like a lot of us would like to know that what is that one thing that is keeping you motivated like during these tough times? It's because it's a pandemic situation, everybody's losing hope. So what is keeping you motivated in these times?
I think for me personally, one thing was that being back at home, being back in this sort of a comfort zone. Because I mean, I study at a university in Noida, but I am from Dehradun. So being back at home, A brings a little bit of a comfort zone back, a nice
Exactly.
environment. Things become a little more easier on you.
Exactly.
And secondly, it's for me, it's always been more like it's not something that I can control, right? So I might as well look out for things that can actually help me that I can control. And in between a lot of these, I did end up seeing opportunities come up, and I just decided that I'm gonna take these, and I'm gonna keep doing this until I can, because otherwise there isn't too much else there to do otherwise, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's just taking those as they came, and letting go of things that you can't control. And I mean, once that happens, it kind of does free you of some of these problems, because you can focus on things that can help and impact your existing life, rather than worry
Exactly.
about things that may be.
Okay, okay. So, Aditya, what's your journey like? What was your journey? How it started, and what obstacles you faced, and how did you overcome them? I think you should really share your experiences with us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my journey started about 2 years back, and that with communities, with tech, with hackathons, with all of these. Really, while I mean there was stuff happening in college, I was active in college, but for me personally, the my journey through which I have really grown started about 2 years back when I joined the Microsoft Student Partners Program. That's what it was called earlier. Now it's the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. So if some of you know that name, the Student Partners was essentially the exact same thing. It's just been rebranded this last year. And that's what really exposed me to this entirely new world of communities, of tech, of, just a whole new world of opportunities around these. Because until that point, I did not know a lot about what was happening in tech, what we could do in tech as students, as members of communities. So that was really a big eye opener for me, and that's where I started my activity from. So I kept working there. I stayed active, tried to support folks around me, and this was a time when things were in person. So we used to have meetups that were in person. We used to go and speak with people and literally meet and just sit and enjoy. And really a lot of times it was more about the food than anything, but that definitely enabled us to come together and just talk about things we wanted to, because these were all meetings of like-minded people who were trying to collaborate and grow. So that was definitely great. That's where I started really enjoying this space. And about half a year in, we had the lockdown begin. Now, that of course in itself was a big shocker for a lot of us. But fortunately for me, at the very beginning, I got my first professional opportunity among communities. And that was when I joined ProGate as a community intern. So I worked with ProGate while, of course, working with Microsoft student partners with different communities externally. I worked with ProGate for 5 months as a community intern. And then I took a break just because I wanted to focus on some exams and all. And then I went back to ProGate in a different role altogether that was focused around user research to help understand the product's audience, as um, there was definitely a lot of work going on around how to progress the product within India. So that's what that role was focused about. And these were highly educational roles. There was a lot I learned, a lot of growth happened for me, and they really helped my personal brand as well. In the middle of this, there were a few little things, not always so little, but it's also around this time that I got really active in the hackathon space as well, because that's when I started first hacking. Around this time, I also co-organized the first edition of a hackathon that I recently we just concluded, and that was the Hack-On Hackathon. So we organized the first edition around that time as well. And in all of this, while the hackathons kept proceeding, my first hackathon win came around, um, and that was the Microsoft VS Code hackathon. So all of these things kept happening together, and they kept on going on and on and on. And as I came to a close to my role around in at ProGate, it was also around that time that I ended up joining the Major League Hacking coaches program, the MLH coaches program, which was all about supporting hackathons and the MLH community. So these were all big milestones and big highlights of my journey, and it's still been progressing well. I mean, probably I think I've discussed a chunk about what happened till 2021. Now, this was a time when I still felt that community management was the career for me. And I was honestly, it's only a little after around this when Imagine Cup happened that I thought that no, I wanted a little bit of tech in my life as well. And fortunately, I got opportunities to work with that, even through sessions and all at Major League Hacking, for example, through hackathons. I kept working at that. I kept working with .NET, um, which led me on to the current internship that I have at TechDome, where I am working actively as on the backend side as a .NET developer.
And congratulations for the Microsoft Imagine Cup, by the way.
Thank you, thank you.
So we have a couple of questions for you, Aditya. What is networking, and what is the importance of networking?
Sure. So networking for me refers to a two-way communication we develop with folks in spaces where we work, in spaces where we learn, in spaces where we grow. I think that's the simplest way I can define it. And I want to bring emphasis to two-way communication because in my perspective, just connecting to someone on LinkedIn, for example, is not networking. That's just a request, a connection request. Networking is when you have that two-way communication where you can collaborate with someone, where you can learn from someone, when you can share with someone. When these two entities, you can mutually grow with them. That is what networking is to me. And networking is definitely very helpful. It's very important. It's very impactful because there are times when you know hopefully you will never ever need to use your network, but there are times when only your network will get you through. So
Exactly.
networking is crucial at those moments, and it's you will never realize the importance of networking in times of comfort. It's only when you know you're in a difficult position that you realize that a network can really be beneficial.
Exactly. So, in terms of if it's, something like in terms of internship, like what important role does networking play in terms of internships?
I got my internship because of it.
I guess that's pretty
To
much
be
the
honest.
answer.
And it's a really cool story because the
Yeah.
connection that I have with the person who brought me into the internship that I am today, it's very special, and it's not something that everyone would probably bet at because, and this is also why I put important focus on Microsoft Student Partner earlier, because a year back in around July, August time, as through these communities, I got active volunteering at an initiative called the NG Girls Initiative. And this was an initiative by some amazing community leaders from the Indore region. And this was an India-wide initiative focused around getting more and more women into Angular, essentially. That is what the idea behind this was. And and all of these folks who I was working with, they had all been former MSPs at one point of time, around 2014, 15, that back. And I just happened to stay in touch with them. So when I decided that maybe no tech roles are something that I wanted to look at as well, I did not want to leave coding. I kept working on .NET. Obviously, by then, my whole base had been around communities, and that's something that I felt that maybe no, community management isn't what I wanted to do. So I was in touch with these folks, and I reached out to one of these organizers, and I just asked him if he knew someone who was recruiting around these roles, and he called me on to have a discussion and a slight interview about this with them. And I upfront told him what my state had been, how much experience I had, um, where I lacked, what I knew. But because he had worked with me, because we had collaborated, he decided to go on with that anyway. So honestly, I would not have had my current internship if I did not have my network, and I love the work I'm doing right now. So
That's
it
great.
has really made an impact.
Exactly. So, since you work with like various technologies and stuff, so like what, how can somebody get recognized in a community? Like, because there are a lot of people working and stuff like that, but that one recognition, what in the community, how can somebody get that?
Personally, what I believe is that there are two ways to get recognition in a community. Either you do that one insane thing, which is going to be very rare people. Once in a while you will have someone who's been fantastic in something, and you'll see you'll find folks like that. You'll find folks like that in student communities. You'll find folks like that otherwise, but that's a very rare thing. That's not everyone, me included. Um, so then there is a second way, which is something everyone can do, and that is you consistently share a little bit about what you know, little bit about what you're learning, and it's really the small things on a regular basis. That's the other way how you grow, and that's what helped me because honestly, I will never say that I am the most experienced or the smartest. That's never me. But I just like going ahead and sharing about what I'm doing. And just so happens that, someone else learns from it. So they end up sharing it. And that's how, the thing is that when your work is something that people like and when people endorse, that is always going to be an endorsement for you. So that's what happened with me. And the best part about this is that everyone can do it.
Exactly. So yeah, so can you just tell us about some programs like that the students can use to join with amazing people and connect with some amazing people like you? So some of the programs like that.
All right. So I think first of all, the best thing is you actually don't need any program to start connecting. You can just
Okay,
reach out and generally interact. Most active
exactly.
community folks will happily have a conversation, um, will happily, have a discussion about what you want to talk about, just as much as what we want to talk about. We love talking about what you want to talk about. So it's not that people aren't approachable. I promise you, there are more people who are sitting there who want to help than those who don't. And even apart from that, once you start to grow, once you want to take those leadership roles, then I feel is where you can utilize programs to build an audience, to find more like-minded individuals or leading folks who you can learn from on a more regular, more active, and a more collaborative basis. So programs like, for me, the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors program, it's been absolutely fantastic. I've personally really grown through it, so I do have a personal connect there. Apart from that, some really amazing programs include the Google Campus Experts, the GitHub Campus Experts, the Google Developer Student Clubs. Yes, those are the two. Sorry about that. So the GitHub Campus Experts, amazing program. The Google Developer Student Clubs, another great one. I'm active with my college's DSC. I was a core member last year. I've applied for lead this time, so let's see what happens. Apart from that, we've got various different leadership programs. We've got an amazing community with Major League Hacking. That's been great. They've got some amazing stuff, and it's, the coaches is one side of it. That's one thing. Apart from that, if you look at the local hack days that they have, there are opportunities to lead and bring your own community. They're called the guild leaders. You can mentor hackers. There's opportunities for that. So there's a lot of things happening there. These are a few that I personally stay a little more connected with. Beyond that, we've got the Alexa student influencers. We've got AWS student ambassadors. Those again are lovely. So those are some that really pop off from the top of my head. And beyond that, you can explore other opportunities as well. And not a lot of these are just student programs. Like one really amazing program that I'm a part of now, a lot more recently, is the Twilio Champions, which is an MVP program for anyone working with Twilio and sharing about Twilio. So it's got students, it's got professionals. Similarly, Authors program is like that. It's got students, professionals, absolutely amazing program again. Mozilla's got some fantastic stuff happening. So there's a lot of these programs that are there, and it depends on what you want to work with, what you want to grow with, because some of these are a little more technology oriented as well. Like, just for example, like Twilio or Auto would have a lot more focus around similar technologies, right? But something like the student ambassadors, for example, or the campus experts is not absolutely focused on just one thing. There's a lot more happening there. So that way, you can look at a few of these, decide what works really well for you, and take a start through maybe one of them, because even one can actually make a big difference for you. I know some folks who were impacted from the student ambassadors program a lot at Microsoft. I know some who've taken benefits from some other programs, and they've really grown through those. So it isn't like there's just one single way into all of these. There's a lot of entryways, a lot of routes, and you just have to pick one that you like more.
Exactly. So Aditya, since you're addressing a gathering right now, so could you share some tips on crowd engagement while you're engaging, like when you're speaking to a crowd of 1,000, and what is that will keep the crowd engaging, and a conversation going on, stuff like that.
That's a very good question. Lovely point. And the first thing I want to tell everyone is that everyone wants you to do well. There's no one who's going to start randomly booing if you mess up. I promise you that's the truth, because I have made those errors. Just for example, if any of you have worked with APIs or HTTP requests, I kept trying to send post body parameters in a GET query. So I've made those mistakes, and I've done those on stream of hundreds. So I promise you, people don't want you to fail. You can falter, you can have missteps, and they're still going to support you. That's the first thing. Second thing, it's okay to be nervous. I still get nervous before half the sessions I do, including this one. I was nervous till 2 minutes before it started. And that's totally normal. That's totally natural. So don't be afraid that you might be nervous before. You're going to get so engrossed after you're in there that you're going to forget that nervousness. That's legit from experience. It happens.
Yeah, that's quite relatable also. Like many people do face such nervousness.
Yeah, and then that's totally all right. It's okay to be nervous. You're human. If you aren't regularly doing that thing, you're gonna be nervous. That's okay.
Exactly.
That's being human. And That's not something that you should, feel bad about. Then,
Exactly.
one more thing is that, you're only going to get better with more practice. So
Yeah.
keep doing more, keep doing it regularly. Don't feel afraid of addressing crowds in the sense that, um, it's all right to go share. It's a good thing to share. It's not a bad thing to go out and share. I think one thing that a lot of us end up growing and seeing through is that whole point ki don't tell sabko mat batao warna nazar lag jayegi. So a lot of us go through that, and I
Exactly.
am telling you, if you go up to crowds and you share, nazar nahi lagti, sahara milta hai, you get more support. So
Exactly.
it's okay to go up and share. And one very important point, I think probably the fourth point that I have in mind, otherwise things just come out in conversation, but this is a very important point. It is not compulsory to go up and share. As much as I like doing it, as much as I'm telling you it's a good thing to do about it, you don't have to go up just because someone is pushing you, forcing you. It's all right to, be comfortable in your own skin as you do it and to share about things you like about. If you don't talk about one topic but others think it's a good idea, doesn't mean you have to force yourself into that. You should be comfortable, you should be all right talking about the stuff you do, and that will mean saying no at times as well, which is again not a bad thing. If if people get offended just because you say no to prioritize on yourself, it's not your loss if you lose out on that. So you know, be comfortable when you're doing it. Don't do it just because others are pushing you or someone is saying something. And when you need to say no, please say no. All of that's
Yeah.
totally all right.
Yeah. Exactly. So, last, any suggestions for the students who are just starting off with their careers, and some tips and suggestions to them?
I think a lot of us, when we are starting off, we feel, we at the very beginning, just because others are doing good stuff, we need to start taking 10 steps at a time. It's not gonna work out. If you're starting off, you need to accept that you're a beginner, just how everyone else who's grown was also a beginner at one point. And just because someone else is good or someone else does it faster does not mean you can't get good or you won't get it done. Learn to, you know, work at your own pace and your own timeline. I don't mean when I say at your own pace that, you should just snail, but sometimes if that is what you need, that is what you need. You can't just, take leaps and leaps and leaps every time just because you might see that someone else is being faster at it. Now, if you look at my Imagine Cup team, for example, I have, both my friends, one of them, he's graduating, he's joining Zeta Suite, which is under Direct I. He's not from a CSE degree and he's from a premier college. The other friend, she's just joined as a summer intern at another very premier fintech institution called Goldman Sachs. If I start, if I say one day that, I have been coding, although I've been coding maybe one fourth the amount of time that they have done, and they're in those tech roles now. I should be able to catch up in the next couple of months. I think the 2 months later, gonna find me having fallen face first in this space. So, and that is again because that is disrespect to yourself and to your own growth rate. So you need to be all right with the fact that you're not gonna work at everyone else's pace. You're gonna work at your own pace. Do that. Do it consistently, and that's how you're gonna grow. In time, good things will happen for you, but you need to decide that that you're working at the pace you need to work, and you're doing that consistently.
Yeah, well said, Aditya. Now, I suppose our audience has some questions for you. So let's see what the audience has to say.
Sure.
And just read out the questions from the.
Otherwise, I think if anyone in the audience, if anyone wants to share their own experiences, that's totally all right as well.
Yeah,
I think folks are quite excited about a quiz.
yeah.
I'm assuming there are goodies in there. It's okay. I get it. Swags are love. Yeah.
So we
I'm in a
have a
spit tea right
question.
now. Yeah.
So we have some
Cool,
of
cool,
the
cool.
questions coming in. So we have a question from Pragati.
Ah,
Yeah.
how to become an MLH coach. All right. So the first thing about an MLH coach is that you can't just prep to become an MLH coach. Um, sounds weird, but that is a fact. An MLH coach is someone who can work with communities, support communities, actively manage hackathons, and is someone who can pick all of these different roles. There is versatility to it. There is a lot of fun there as well, and the only way you can really work towards becoming something like this is just staying active and staying working in communities, just helping people, supporting hackathons. That's really the only way. And there's no fixed, there's no quantified number, because I know people who had organized and participated in 10, 20 hackathons who didn't become a coach. I know people who've done zero hackathons, an insane amount of community work, and you know, that could also lead to a coach. And there's no one fixed way. It's really about who you have become, what type of a person you've developed into, and what experiences you carry, what learnings you carry, both from your wins and your failures especially. Um, so it's really all of that coming together that helps you get to MLH coach. And for me, I think more than just a target, it was more of a milestone, because I had the good fortune of meeting Mike Swift, the CEO of MLH, when he was back in India in October 2019 at the APAC launch. So that's when I got to know about it. That's when I saw what these folks do. So for me, more than just that, this is my final goal. It was more that along this journey, I want to become something like that. And fortunately, I ended up like that. And here's the thing, even if I wouldn't, that wouldn't say that I haven't grown. But it's a wonderful, wonderful thing in its own place. And if you like the hackathon space, if you like the community space, I highly encourage you to work and apply for it. It's even if you don't get in, the application itself is going to teach a lot about you and about these spaces.
Yeah. Okay. So and we have the next question from Arjun Arya, I guess. Okay. We have a question from Atul Anand. How to join?
Yeah. I think Arjun's question was I think a couple points earlier, but I guess we
Yeah.
can take that after this. So
Yeah.
how to join MLSA? All right, I'll send a website here in the chat. I think you can send it over for me. You need to just go over to this website. There's an application form there. Go fill it. In all honesty, one of the best things about the student ambassadors is that it doesn't ask for high expertise in tech. That isn't the aim of this program. It does ask for why you love tech, why you're passionate about tech, why you love communities. It does talk about that at the application, but it is there isn't very strict gatekeeping per se. It is very welcoming as a program. So if you like tech, if you like working with um, any sort of stuff, even if it's not just Microsoft tech, because when I joined, I had no idea. I hadn't worked with any Microsoft tech. I just had been playing around with Windows and games on Windows and that sort of stuff. And I did have a liking for tech otherwise, though. And it does ask for some passion for communities, why you want to support people around you. And if you have all of that, you can definitely definitely go ahead and apply. And chances are I'll be seeing you there in the next cohort launch as well.
Exactly.
How did you set yourself up? Okay. I think the first thing you have to decide is that either you can't just start a comparison between everyone else when you apply. Because here's the thing, you don't carry the same experiences as them. They don't do that for you. You have very different journeys, so do they. So you have to try to be the best that you are. You can't the moment you start a comparison, you lose focus of yourself and you start focusing on what the others are doing. So I just recommend focusing on yourself, doing what you enjoy, doing what where you feel you can grow, and keep doing it consistently over a long time. And eventually you will find someone else telling you that you're great at something. That's when you'll realize that yes, you've done well. um, yeah, seriously, just focus on yourself, focus on your own growth. Don't worry so much about the others, because you, again, that's not something you can control. You never know who your competition is going to be in a lot of situations. You never know how much they work. All you can decide is how much you're going to work, how you want to progress. So focus on that. And if they like you, if you know the people you're trying to join, if they like you, if they feel you've done enough, you'll get there. And if you don't, it just means you need to work a little more. So that's all. Just focus on yourself, focus on your growth. You'll get there.
Okay. So I
I
guess
think there were
we're
a
done with
couple
the
of
questions.
questions earlier, like
Okay.
Arjun, Rajat, a few of these I think I saw. So maybe if you want to just scroll back once again.
Yeah, you can do that. Um, okay. So we had taken Pragati's question, and after that we have Arjun's question. Why are you into .NET?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, like, since I mentioned that I'm a .NET developer, so I started .NET because I stumbled across it in one of the activities in Microsoft Student Ambassadors. One of the components of it is to complete a Learn path on Microsoft Learn, and I happened to choose the one that was focused around Windows application development. It just happened by chance, to be honest. But I tried it, I worked at it, and I really liked it because I felt comfortable working with C Sharp and .NET. So I just progressed. I just did more and more. I played around with it. I didn't even do it very formally, to be honest. Till date, I haven't formally studied .NET, but I just liked working and building stuff with it, be it at hackathons, be it otherwise. So I just kept doing a bit of that, and somewhere along the way, I also ended up getting accepted in the .NET Foundation, which is the open source organization that manages .NET. So I think that's when it really hit me that I'm getting good at this. So then I just proceeded because I personally I feel comfortable working with it. I don't have any other way to explain it other than the fact that it's a personal choice. I am comfortable writing C sharp. I know some people might not be because C sharp syntax is like Java. I know a lot of people don't like Java syntax, but I do. I love working with Java as well, although it's primarily restricted to core Java and DSA stuff. But .NET is a very powerful platform. There is so much you can do with it. Be it developing with web, for desktop, for mobiles. You can do ML work with it. There's IoT, there is game dev. So you've got all of these happening with one single platform. And why not experiment with it? So it's just a great technology, and I had good experiences when I started, so I just continued working with it.
Okay, that's good. So I guess that's all with the questions. So thank you, Aditya, for joining in. It was lovely talking to you. Thank you for your valuable time and sharing your insights with us. I hope the audience loved it. Thank you so much for
And
joining in.
and seriously, best of luck to you all for the quiz.
Thank
I think even more than the audience, I need to wish luck to you all as the organizers.
you.
You're gonna have more fun handling that.
Yeah, exactly. But the audience is very excited for the quiz. I guess they're very
Absolutely,
excited.
the swags. I'd be excited as well. Like seriously, I mean, swags are great. I honestly actually started off with some stuff because like there were cool swags. It's only later that I realized that I can do stuff without needing swags. But it's always nice to get something, right? It's a nice token of appreciation for those
Exactly.
in the audience from the organizers. So swags are great.
Exactly. Okay, so thank you so much for joining in, Aditya, and it was lovely meeting you. Stay safe and take care. Bye.
Thank you.
I would request Chaitanya to please proceed.
Okay, thank you, Dharna. Just a quick summary of what we saw today. So we started with Sandeep talking about the Commudle ecosystem, about the whys and hows and what's of Commudle. And then we saw about the different types of communities, about Commudle's achievements, and so on. And then we listened to Dhruv talking about web development, web applications, about how to maintain simplicity of products, about how to contribute if you don't have any knowledge about coding or web development. And then he also explained about web designing and the latest trends in the web development industry. And then in the end, Aditya spoke about importance of internships and networking, about crowd engagement. So this is all. This is just of what happened today. So I request you to kindly fill the feedback form that will be dropped in the chat box. Make sure to fill that before you end the meeting. I would now like to. I would like to hand it over to Dharana. She will be concluding the session. Over to you, Dharna.
Thank you so much, Chaitanya. So this was day one, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to share your valuable feedback with us. And we'll see you guys tomorrow at 4 p.m. So till then, bye bye. Take care. Good night.